Oh my goodness, look at us. We are finally back. Oh, Marvelous here. Nadia Moham here. And this is an episode of We Everywhere, baby! That you probably didn't even think you were ever going to get again.
Did you guys think we gave up? 'Cause you're wrong. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. It feels really good to be doing these again. For everybody that has hit us up on this small hiatus that we took, begrudgingly, I should say. But thank you so much for your support. And now we can go ahead and get back into these shows without missing one.
Yeah.
In quite some time, I hope.
Yeah, everyone was really nice about it. I got a lot of DMs being like, mental health is important and take your time and, whatever it is you're going through, I hope you're okay. All those kind of really nice messages. So that is very much appreciated from you guys. Because we just is anyone still listening? Is anyone out there?
To be fair, that's what I'm always thinking.
I always think that too.
At least it was a little bit better to swallow. But it's been difficult trying to get these things going again because it's kind of like when you don't talk to a friend and then it takes you a while and then now you start feeling bad because you haven't talked to them or anything like that. So it's like that. It's like, well, what do we explain? What do we not?
Yeah.
Do we just jump back into it and act like nothing happened? Or, do we just kind of really go into it and let everybody know, why their favorite show that they listen to every week was no longer available.
What are they doing over there? Well, if I'm going to stay true to myself, I'm a sharer. And, I just think it's important for me as a person to honor that about myself. I always feel like, I share what I feel like I want to share, what I think is important to share. I'm usually an open book. And so, basically what had happened to us and why we took a hiatus. Omar and I found out now I'm like blanking. I'm already, look at me, my trauma response. I'm already deleting all of this from my memory banks. I'm like, well, that didn't happen. Delete.
It was
That's terrible. No, it was in October. Yeah.
It was mid-October.
So Omar and I found out in October that we were expecting, that we were pregnant. I was feeling a little off. Nothing too crazy out of the norm. I kind of just wasn't really feeling well. And I thought, okay, maybe I got COVID again. So on that day, I went and took a pregnancy test. I went and took a COVID test. And then I decided, you know what? Maybe I should just do a pregnancy test. Cause I'm like thinking, wait a minute, am I supposed to have my period right now? I don't know. Maybe I'm really bad at tracking it. I have a little Flow app, but if you don't record it, it doesn't help you out. You have to actually go in and record it. So
the app doesn't do it all for you. Okay. Good to know.
Exactly. So I'm not always the best at doing that. And I had forgotten to log my last one. So I was kind of like, I think I'm supposed to be on it right now or something like that. So went to the store, grabbed a pregnancy test, and came home, took it, went to the bathroom and took it. You heard me. You heard me set a timer while I'm in there for 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that where I was like, what?
What is she doing in there?
Yeah. Who goes into the bathroom and then just starts setting timers? So I was like, what the fuck? What is she doing?
So you kind of had an inkling of what was happening, I'm sure.
No, I had absolutely no idea. I didn't know why you were setting a timer.
Oh, you didn't?
It just sounded so weird because we have a bathroom on the first floor of our condo that is kind of right off of the living room. So it has a pocket door. So it's not, very thick. So you can hear when someone's talking or something on there,
Or farting.
If it's loud enough.
Yeah. So anyway, so he heard me or whatever and then took the test. the line was very faint, but it was there, but it was faint. And I've taken so many pregnant tests in my lifetime because I'm just that person that's like, it's happened, it's finally happened, I'm doomed.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel you.
So I was like, that looks a little different than from before. Let me take another one because I bought the 2-pack. I was going to be real cheap and just buy the one. And then I was like, you know what? I think it's always good to have a backup one just in case. So one of them misreads or something. So I bought the 2-pack. Took it again. The line was faint again. And I think that's when I showed you. And you were like, no, it's there. And I was like, no. I just like refused to believe
I remember
it.
you were showing it to me. You're like, do you think that's... I was like, well, I mean, if the option is line or no line, I don't care how light it is. There's a fucking line there.
I didn't believe it. So I go back to the store, and this time I go not to the drugstore, but to the actual grocery store, and I can't find the pregnancy test anymore. So I go to the register and I tell the lady, I'm like, do you guys carry pregnancy tests here? And she goes, oh yeah, they're over there in the, or no, I go, do you guys?
They're in the frozen.
Yeah, they were.
It looked like you. I'm sorry. When you look at somebody's face and you kind of feel like you know what they're gonna say because the way their lips. It looked like you were gonna say, yeah,
frozen food.
They're in the frozen fruit section. Oh, okay, great.
No,
Sorry.
the front area, like where they got the Tide Pods locked up still.
Oh shit.
So, I'm like trying to be discreet about it because it's so funny. Like, I don't know why I was like embarrassed. Like I was there to buy condoms or something. And I was like, you got a pregnancy test? What do you need? Pregnancy test.
Hi. I'm a woman with very loose morals.
Like, what a stupid thing to be embarrassed about. So then she calls the girl. She's like, hey, whatever her name is, Monica, can you go get me some pregnancy tests? And I'm like, she's like
From the front of the
screaming
store.
it. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like all embarrassed. So then, and then I went with the intent to get the digital one. And I was like, if I'm going to take another test, I need this shit to be digital. I need it to spell out the words pregnant on there. Like I need to see it because I can't believe this right now. So I get the digital ones. I get 2, come back home. I have to pee like a racehorse. I go to the bathroom. I pee on the stick so hard that it misreads. It's like showing me a little book. And I'm like, what the hell does this mean? A book? What?
It was like telling you to just read the manual because you had broken it.
Yeah, I had to read the manual. It's like, what does the book mean?
But by this time, I was already like, oh, you're just taking extra tests for nothing. The other one already told us yes. So you show me that. You're like, what do you think this means? And I was like, I think it's telling you to get a baby book because you're pregnant. Like, you don't need to take any more of these.
I hate you. So, then I like barely squeeze out a couple more drops of pee because I already, unloaded it all already. So the last stick barely had anything left. Finally get that one done. And sure enough, it says pregnant. And I was just in a state of shock. Like I couldn't even feel anything. I wasn't like sad, happy, angry, nothing. Like I was just like, what? Like, are you what? No, what? Like, it was just such a shocking thing. I wasn't expecting it. Although we weren't really doing anything to prevent it, so it can't be that shocking.
Right,
but still. So it was an oh shit kind of moment. And then finally you looked at me and you were like, it's going to be fine. We're going to be good. Like, you remember you telling me, well, we haven't done this before.
Yeah. You were like, what do you think? I was like,
what do we do?
I think it's something new. Like, let's go. Let's see what's up.
Yeah, because when it's not planned and we hadn't gotten married yet, not that to me that doesn't really matter, but, we were just trying to do things in the quote unquote order that you think that you're supposed to do or whatever. So, that was, good news. We were happy. We shared it with our families. We were slowly starting to tell people. We told our closest friends.
Yeah, because you apparently the reason that the first 2 tests were so barely, readable is because of how early
Right.
you were.
Right. It was so early on. I found out when I was 4 weeks pregnant, which is like super rare.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, with that being said, that just shows you how fucked up these laws are in Texas and wherever else in the Midwest that's not allowing women to have abortions by like 6 weeks. It's like, if hardly any women find out at 4 weeks, like it's really rare to find out that early.
Right.
And that's only a 2-week window to like find out and make a huge life decision.
Absolutely.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It just frustrates me to no end. But anyways, we were really happy. Yeah, we found out really early. So it felt like we knew for a really long time on top of that because we found out so early. And then we got these really fun scratchers I found on Amazon, and we surprised both of our parents, and they were completely shocked. And it was just a really joyous, happy occasion. And then, of course, I'm sure you guys are already figuring out where this is leading to. On December 1st, we unfortunately miscarried. And I was 11 and a half weeks pregnant. They tell you that once you get to the 12-week mark, once you're 3 months in, your first trimester is over. That's the hardest, most critical time, really. And once you're out of the gate with that, you feel like, okay, we're good to go. We made it through the first trimester. Like, this is good. It's viable. Let's go. Yeah. So we were almost there, and we were like weeks away from announcing it on Instagram. And it just, just felt like the rug got pulled out from underneath us. And it was just single-handedly one of the hardest experiences that I've personally ever gone through. And it really put me in a bad space mentally, physically, everything it's been a good solid month now. And I'm just, trying my best to heal and move forward. And I've accepted it. It's all these things that, your mind tells you, and that, okay, it wasn't a viable pregnancy. It wasn't meant to be. All these people tell you all these things. Oh, it was God's plan or whatever that they feel like they want to tell you to comfort you and reassure you that it's okay. But in the end, none of it matters because you feel what you feel and you can't turn your feelings off. Like, that is just something that you have to process on your own, in your own time. And as we know, grief comes in waves, healing comes in waves, and you got to go with it. So it's just there's been a lot of takeaways from this experience. One of them is the fact that, you hear all the time how common miscarriages are. We know that. I've known women to have them. I've talked to friends that have them. What's interesting is that I feel like once you have one and you talk about it, it's like people come out of the woodwork of like, oh, we had one too. Oh, we've had 3. Oh, it's just crazy the amount of women and couples that have experienced such a tragic loss, and they're just going about living their daily lives. I mean, we have to, but it's trauma. We're carrying this trauma with us that is just, I think until you go through it, you can't understand it. You can't relate to it. You can empathize with it, but it doesn't hit home until you've really gone through it. And that was something that was just really stood out to me. That was like, wow, all these women walking around with these miscarriages of like loss, that it just, I don't know. It just really kind of blows my mind that it's just a part of life. We just got to go through it. And it's just a really unfortunate, really difficult thing to go through.
Yeah. And I mean, at least from my side, which would be like the other half of this team, it's weird because I don't know anything about, pregnancy, obviously. You know what I mean? it's like never had like studied what to do or anything, when your wife is pregnant or whatever. But it's, I was aware that first month or whatever is the time where they always say, don't tell anybody,
right?
Don't this and that, don't this and that. So we were conscious of that, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not telling anybody. I didn't tell anybody. People kind of figured it out from little things like, we went out to get some dinner, and then they were like, "You're not drinking?" And it was like, and we didn't know how to play it off. Like,
yeah.
It was like, okay.
I'm a hard one to be like.
They're like,
why aren't you drinking? Something's wrong.
They're like, wait a minute, you guys came out here to party, and you're not gonna drink. So it was like, okay. So even though, let's say from October to December, sometimes when you look back, it's not that much time. It felt interminable. You know what I mean? From first it was okay, I have this information, but I can't share it with anyone because I don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time, I want to kind of start preparing for what I'm supposed to be dealing with. And there's people at work or stuff like that who have recently had babies. So I'm like, well, they're the ones I should be like talking to right now. So now I'm creating this like bullshit reason to talk to them about it. Like,
Yeah.
But when in fact it's me trying to gather some kind of information without letting them know, because it was just weird like that.
Why is Omar suddenly interested in babies?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, who the hell? Like,
he doesn't even like babies.
So it's kind of like I'm like, shit. I'm pretending to care about somebody else's baby. Like, you know what I mean? Just so that I could get information about what the fuck I'm supposed to do.
Not pretending to care.
No. So it just, that kind of stuff really starts draining on you. Like, well, I want to tell my parents, so we want to tell her parents. We want to share this information because we're not sad about it. Like, we're happy. We're, it's, hey, this is a new step in a new advancement in our life. So let's get as many people as we can in on this joy or whatever. But I'm like, okay, can't tell anyone until then. Then we finally, like, mid-November, we're like, okay, you know what I mean? We're feeling a little bit more confident with it. I still haven't told anyone at work. I don't want to tell anyone at work, just leaving it alone. But they end up scheduling some mandatory meeting to go to. So I have to tell my boss. I can't go.
Well, it was a doctor's appointment.
On to this, meeting because I have to go, with Nadia to the doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could have just said doctor's appointment, but I knew that because of how mandatory is the only word I can really think of, like, that meeting is, it's a company-wide situation. People fly in from other parts of the country for this. Like, I was like, I have to be there. So I had to spill the beans to my boss. So he's like, okay, no problem. And then literally the next week, I now have to call him.
Was it a week or was it like a day?
No, well, maybe. No, because it was the day after the thing, I think. I don't know.
Whatever.
The point is, it was one of those things where I didn't want to tell him because I was like, it's not time to let him know anything yet. And then I was like, shit, now I have to. Now I've got to tell him the bad news again.
Yeah, it was like back to back.
And it was just like, ugh. And then that made it drag on even more as well. And again, if I don't know anything about pregnancy, I definitely don't know anything about miscarriages. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to deal with that. Not that I'm dealing with it, but I mean, like, I don't know how to help you or talk you out of it. But I'll talk you out of it.
Yeah, let's just talk my body out of this miscarriage. That makes sense. If only.
No, I meant like I just, this is all like just from me and how I was feeling about it. You know what I mean? So I chose to just allow you to go through it however, however it was that you were going to go through it. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people, or I've talked to, again, multiple people once this became a thing where they were like, oh, us too. And a lot of people told, and everybody kind of kept saying the same thing, like, don't rush her, don't rush her, don't rush her. And that's always afraid to be like, it's a less of a visceral experience for me than it is for you.
Absolutely.
So it would be logical to say that I would have maybe a faster time of feeling normal than you would.
Well, yeah.
And then I didn't want to at any point try to tell you to get on my level of it. Like, hey, okay, that was, a week ago. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not that that's how I am, but I wanted to be as supportive as I could have been.
Yeah, it's a tricky dance. You're not sure what to say, what to do, when to feel like, okay, like you were afraid of me spiraling into a deep depression. I know that. I could feel that. And I think that that's what you were kind of like being on alert for, of like, okay, I don't want to rush her. I need to let her grieve. I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to be there watching over her. But like, also at what point do I step in and say like, hey, like, get up off the couch, or, like, when do you intervene and not allow me to go down a deeper hole, and I think that's a tricky thing for any partner. When your partner is going through something traumatic or is going through depression, it's like you want to be supportive, but how do you give those gentle nudges without being too pushy? You know what I mean? It's tricky, and I understand that, and I could see that in you, and I could see that your pain and your grieving was really coming more from seeing me in pain and seeing me hurt and not being able to help me, because you're a fix it kind of guy. You like to fix situations and, come to solutions. And there wasn't anything that you could do about it. So. Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, it was only a month from then till now, roughly.
Yeah.
But didn't it feel like forever?
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, am I, like you said, am I rushing it? Am I not? Am I, a bad person because I'm feeling, like I'm going to be okay much sooner than you?
No.
It's just a lot of stuff.
That's I think the thing with like the differences between men and women when it comes to pregnancy, I mean, besides the obvious reasons, like men just don't have that connection. They can't, until, honestly, even after the baby is born and it's an infant, men don't feel that instant connection until later on. You know what I mean? That's just a very common thing. Not all men are the same, but it's a very common thing. It's like they need the baby to start like doing fun things, and then they bond with it, once it starts moving around. And I
always hear fathers say like, oh, when it grabbed me, when it grabbed my finger, or when it does
something like that.
I've never heard some people be like, as soon as it popped out, I was like, hey. It's always like, I was like, gross, and then oh my god,
it's a different
it's like
experience.
A very guy thing.
Yeah, it's just a different experience, where women, same thing, all women feel differently as well, but more likely than not, we feel more of a bond and connection when the baby's in the womb already, because it's growing inside of us. And then it's already this idea of like, we're already taking care of the baby because we have to do changes and take care of ourselves and eat in a certain way. And all that self-care that we're doing is for the baby. So it's straight off the bat, like, that we're already caring for this little human inside of us. So it's just a different bonding experience. And yeah, I think that that's totally normal. Like, you're just not going to feel what I feel. There's just no way.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's how kind of that all went down for me. I was just mostly like trying to remain as supportive as possible without it coming off as pushy, like you said. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was tough. It was one of the toughest things that I think, especially when people who know us, or even our listeners and stuff, we laugh a lot. Like we're constantly, not necessarily that we're always in a good mood, but it's always,
we find the humor.
There's always much more humor going on in our lives, in our house, than others that I've been at. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Like, some of y'all are sour, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
have you tried laughing about it?
Yeah, like we're always making ourselves laugh, and then something tragic happens, And it's like, this is not the time for me to try to make you laugh, but it is, but it isn't. And the fact that you yourself are not generating, humor at the time it's a complete like paradigm shift for us, you know? But it was just all of it from allowing myself to buy into it, you know what I mean? That this was what we were going to do and getting excited about it, to watching it all just like not happen. And then trying to pick up my pieces and help you pick up your pieces. And at the same time, oddly feeling this pressure about the fact that we weren't doing episodes. You know what I mean? Like it, and it, I don't know, playing it cool at work. It was just, it was a tough
lot.
situation.
Yeah, it was a lot.
More for you than for me. I mean, I would never try to take that, that like.
No, but you can't discount what you went through. I mean, it's still something you went through. You know what I mean? It's still something that we went through together. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And with all that being said, that is another thing that I realized, is that one of my fears was minimizing this situation, because I feel like in our society, because we're told that it's so common, and because it is so common, we have a tendency to minimize it. And I don't know. It's just interesting that nobody talks about it. Nobody is vocal about it. I don't know if necessarily there's a stigma. I just think that it's something that you just accept and move on. And that is what you should do. But burying it, I don't know if that necessarily helps people. It doesn't help me. I'm perfectly fine talking about it. And I find that when people respond and have experienced the same thing, it just kind of makes me feel better that I'm not alone. And, that's the one thing that I hope that we're able to kind of release that, and people are able to talk about it. And I know that there's listeners right now who have probably had the same experiences as us, and you're not alone. You know what I mean? We know how you feel. We've been there. We now are a part of that unfortunate club. And, it's just a really, really brutal thing to go through. It's just, I don't wish it on anyone, honestly, but it happened to us, and we're going to keep it moving. And I think that it's probably made us stronger and made us more resilient and made us realize that we already knew we were a team, but just kind of solidified that even more for us, that like we can kind of get through anything together. So those are the upsides of it all. And also I will say, when it is time for us to get pregnant again, I feel like it'll be more of an exciting, joyous initial reaction than a, oh shit, what do we do? Kind of. Do? Yeah. Because I don't know. I mean, I guess you're just never really ready, but I just, we've dabbled with the idea of, do we even have kids? We've had that conversation. It's just the state of the world is in shambles. Like, there's so many reasons right now to not have kids, which is a perfectly okay thing to do as well, if that's what you choose. And we were dabbling with it. But I think for me personally, going through this experience made me realize that I would like to have kids, that I would like to try again, and that I can't discount that excitement that I felt once it all came and sank in, and I realized it was happening. That I felt really excited and happy about it, and I want to feel that again. So
yeah. So I mean, all this to say that all this to say, if the Pope is listening, don't get mad at us. We're okay with having kids. I don't know if you saw that recently, where he was like yelling at people for having dogs, treating their dogs as kids,
that
instead
it's
of
selfish.
Having kids.
That's like the least selfish thing.
Yeah. So December was all around very tough for us. We had that happen, and then
the shower.
Then later on in the month, there was a pipe that burst. and we are now
around
without
Christmas
a shower right before Christmas. So it was just like, okay, right when we were getting into the holiday like season, not season, but like the feelings, and we were like, okay, we have our tree up, everything is up, like we're definitely gonna try to focus on Christmas and family and all that, and then boom, that happens, and now we don't have a shower.
Yeah.
So we have to we're going to shower at my mom's house.
I know. Thank God she's close. It's like 5 minutes away, but it's such a major pain in the ass.
It's just like, oh, do you have everything? Okay, let's go shower over there. So we're like, all right, well, okay. We get that, and then right after Christmas, I get COVID.
Yep.
So it's just like every time we're like, should we do a show? It's been a couple, like, damn, no, now we don't have a shower. We have to figure this out. We'll have to push it again.
It's just been in I've personally needed the time away to just be off and not have to just think about what I need to say, any of that. I just needed time for myself to grieve, to heal, to not really talk too much to anyone. Like, I've been off the map completely. Like, I didn't even post on Instagram for since Thanksgiving. Like, I needed my time, and I definitely dealt with moments of guilt about it, which sucks. Thinking like, I just hate the control that social media has on our lives, that we clearly give it, but you kind of feel like if you're not engaged and involved in social media, especially in my world being a makeup artist, that you're forgotten, that all the hard work that you put in, that all the, I have a huge backflow of pictures of work that I've done that I still haven't posted. And it almost becomes more and more overwhelming of where do I even start? How do I even crank this out? It just, the more it piles up, the more stressed I get. So it's like, I'm already dealing with this other mental health shit of what I went through and all of that. And then you and I having to quarantine from each other for 10 days. We didn't spend New Year's together. It was just all shitty. And then to feel the guilt of that, it was just this is just such an unnecessary pressure that we put on ourselves, and it sucks. But what can we do?
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
So yeah, it has been a lot. But to switch, to switch things over to, a lighter side of things, as we like to do, and that's why you guys come and listen.
Right. Enough of the crying.
There were some things that really kind of helped get us through, particularly Nadia, of, there's just the sadness and the melancholy that we were going through. And one of those things right off the bat was a suggestion from Dustin, Japanese correspondent, Dustin, and so a couple other people. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on right now because I don't have them written down, but of watching the show Pen 15.
Mm-hmm.
So we finally, I know we've talked about it on previous shows that we're gonna do it. We finally, I was like, you know what, this is probably gonna be just as lighthearted as what Nadia would like and would help her right now.
Yeah, and
it ended up being so much of a better show than even I could have imagined.
All right.
And it's excellent. It's just such a good show.
It is. It's so good. They nailed it on the head with it because basically it follows two young adolescents. I think they're all
they're 11.
13. Oh, they're 11?
They're 11 years old, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Because it starts in 7th grade.
It does. It's all 7th grade, junior high.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the funny thing is that the two main actresses that play these junior high girls are grown ass 30-year-old women, 34-year-old women.
Right, yeah.
But somehow they pull it off. And you believe, even though you're looking at them and they're way bigger than all the other kids on the show, you're just yeah, those are junior high kids. I'm buying it.
Yeah. Particularly the actress that plays Hannah.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall or something.
She is. But you know what she reminds me of, there were girls that I remember that just developed really quickly. And they were freakishly tall. You know what I mean? And I remember having girls like that in junior high and 6th grade. And, ninth grade that were just like taller than everybody else and like just looked more grown.
We had 3 girls for sure in my like 7th, 8th grade like classes. There was, and they all played sports.
See, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they were towering above us. Yeah. There were some tall guys too. But, I mean, I've always been a shrimp. Like I felt like I felt like I grew in college. Like I was just tiny all up until I got to college.
That's
I don't know,
hilarious.
but yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I was like, well, she's just one of those tall girls that developed quickly. And then the other girl is hilarious too. What is her name? Maya. And it takes place in like 2000. Is it 2000 or just early 2000?
I think it's 2000, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I graduated in 2003. So that's very close to the time that I was in junior high school, whatever. So all the references that they have, the music, just everything, the fashion, I just remember it so well. And it's spot on. It's so freaking hilarious. And just, it just killed me. That show is epic. If you guys have not checked it out, please check it out. It's hilarious. And it is definitely kind of more targeted towards females. It's got more of a female perspective, but guys can watch it too. There's tons of humor for guys in there. And
yeah, it really is quite, like inappropriate at times.
Oh, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? But it's the shit that went on. I would assume it's happening to 2 females, so it's not like the shit that happened with me. But
right,
I could see those like curiosities, like the first time you go to like an older kid's house and they're like, "Yo, just drink this beer," or this and that, or just discovering. You know what I'm saying? That like you're getting horny for no reason.
Oh my God.
Like,
that masturbation episode is, I'm done. I'm so done. Yeah, all of it. Getting your period. She gets her braces off. Like everything you can think of. It's just perfection. They killed it. And what was funny, Nas was telling me that, so Drew Barrymore has her own talk show.
Mm-hmm.
She had the girls on, or the girls. They're actually women, but they came on, the main characters came on her show as guests, but came on as Maya and Hannah as their characters. And Drew dressed up as Josie Grossi from Never Been Kissed. And they did a whole show like that. And I haven't seen it yet. I need to see it. But I can already imagine, because I love Josie Grossi. Like, look at her.
Look at the braces that they give Drew Barrymore from that. I haven't seen that movie in
it's so good
in forever.
It's so good.
What was the premise of this? What was it called? Never Been
Kissed. So she's a reporter, like a newspaper reporter or something like that, and she's never been kissed.
Gotcha.
And they never. And they sent her back to high school undercover. So she's pretending to be a high school student and she's trying to get her kiss. And she was just like a total loser, like nerd in high school. And she goes back and, she's trying to be cool with the cool kids. And, that's just kind of that kind of thing. And it's freaking hilarious. I love that movie. But
that's so good.
That one really was a saving grace for us. I binged the shit out of that show. Laughed every episode. Great show. Check it out. I believe it's on Hulu, right? Hulu?
Yeah, it's on Hulu.
Hulu. So if you're looking for something fun and lighthearted, definitely watch that. What else did we watch?
Yeah, because before that, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there was a show that came out. I mean, it was a while ago. I want to say it actually happened in 2000. The show came out. It was called Strangers with Candy.
No, I remember
it's
that.
Amy Sedaris.
Okay.
Right?
Already laughing.
The premise is that she's, what was her name? Her name was Jerry. And she was like a junkie, runaway, like prostitute, whatever, who's like 46.
Yeah.
And she goes back to high school.
Oh, man.
But as a 46-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's, you know what I mean? And she's just like a like I said, she's like a drug user and whatever. She's
drug loser.
She's a drug loser. But I remember that show, and I thought that's what Pen 15 was going to be like. But no, it was totally different.
Oh man!
But yeah, it's very funny. So, like as always, thanks to Dustin for his incredible
and Maya. Yes, and Maya is half Japanese. Her mom is Japanese, and according to Dustin and Asako, they were like, the Japanese references are spot on. So it's just a really good show. I really liked it. I low key kind of want to watch it all over again. So yeah, so that there was that. I mean, we've watched so many things during the course of a month. That's all we've been doing is in here binge watching all kinds of shows. But myself, especially when you went into quarantine, I watched all kinds of garbage by myself. Shit that I knew you would never watch. Like, I binge watched like a lot of reality TV that I stopped watching. Like I don't really watch reality TV anymore, but I watched I finished Selling Sunset. I watched Paris in Love. I watched Coming Out Colton.
What the hell is Coming Out Colton?
Colton was one of the Bachelors. He's a former NFL player.
All right.
And he, I guess apparently, I never watched The Bachelor, but apparently he was I think he was a virgin on the show, or he was claiming to be a virgin or something like that. And then the girl that he ended up getting with, they were together, and then she broke up with him or something like that, and he lost his shit and went crazy and was stalking her. She had to get a restraining order. He lost it, right?
In real life?
In real life. This has all really happened.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So according to him, it was because he was closeted gay, and he was using the show. He was going so hard with being anti-gay that he was like, okay, I'll be on The Bachelor and I'll get with this girl. And he felt like he actually had a connection with this girl, and that she was his last cover, basically. If he lost her, what was he going to do? How was he going to cover up that he was gay, kind of thing?
Okay.
So it was more of an act of desperation of covering up his true identity than really being obsessed with her. You know what I mean? It was just he just lost his shit. So after that, I don't know if I believe that this show is just his coming out. This is when I don't think he came out before the show. I think this show is what made people find out that he was gay. This is his coming out story. So it was pretty interesting, actually. I'm not going to lie. And I think that this is a kind of reality show that is good for a culture, because he's an NFL player, and there's not a lot of NFL players that are out that are gay, that are outwardly gay, because damn well there's a lot more in the NFL that are secretly gay. I put my money on it, because it's just not a culture that accepts gay people, so they're afraid to be out, and it's really sad. And they show what he went through, and they talk to other football players who are openly gay, and the backlash that they received, and just the locker room talk, that they're just not okay with other men being gay in the locker room, and so it's just an interesting show. I watched that. I liked it. What else did I watch?
Well, I mean, if we want to stick to that, Colton would probably love the show that we ran into on, what was it, on Paramount Plus, called Queen of the Universe. Which
the best. Oh my god, it's so good, you guys.
Has anyone out there heard of Queen of the Universe? Because it's over now. It was a competition show
produced by RuPaul.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
RuPaul is one of the producers. It is a drag queen competition unlike any other, because they actually have to sing and be talented singers and performers. Where normally in drag culture, they're lip singing and they're performing, but everything is lip singing. You know what I mean? So like, you know, if you love Drag Race, like I do, and so many of us do, it's a very entertaining, great show, but they're not actually singing. And these drag queens are phenomenal singers. Like, they're legit really good singers. So it's just an extra level that you get, you know, from a singing or drag queen competition.
Well, the series premiered on on Paramount Plus on December 2nd. But I didn't come across it till I don't know, like a weekend or something like that. Because I was searching for stuff. We had been watching Pen 15, and then we were like taking breaks. Like, let's switch it to something else because we're running out of these shows. And
I think you were scrolling through, and I was like, "What's that?" It was like one of those.
Yeah, it was one of those, and it was just, you know, it said Queen of the Universe, and it clearly had like drag queens on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And then I turned it on, and it's hosted by Graham Norton, right? Who I'm like a huge fan. If anyone doesn't know who Graham Norton is, he is a British talk show host, and he has, I think, the best celebrity talk show host format.
It is.
All the celebrities come out at the same time. They're all sitting on a couch drinking. Like, it's really good. So I was like, hey, I'll watch whatever Graham Norton's on. Let me check it out. And yeah, it was a singing competition.
It's so good. It's
and the
so
thing
good.
is that it was also international.
Yes.
So there were drag queens from all bunch of different countries. So I was like, okay, this is kind of cool too. Cause,
Yeah.
you know, they had one from, I think, China. They had one from
India.
Brazil, India, Canada, Scotland, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I was like, I gotta watch this. I gotta
watch
this.
I gotta
watch this shit.
Don't lie. Don't
I was
lie.
like, I gotta make sure Nadia watches.
You know he
this.
wants to watch it.
And I'm gonna tell you this. We're watching it. It's like, okay, you know, this is cool. Like, but then they had one of the drag kings, one of the drag queens came out and yodeled.
Oh my God, yes. Shit, I forgot her name. What was the yodeler's name?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. She was Canadian, I think. Her name was...
I loved her.
Alex, or... I'm not sure. Alex. What a great name. It was like Matante Alex or something like that. I don't know. But the yodeling, I was like, this is
you
the
didn't
best thing
expect
I've ever seen.
And it just kept getting better and better and better and like blew us away. And the judges are great. You got Vanessa Williams, you have Trixie Mattel, who's a famous drag queen. You have Leona Lewis, who killed and slayed every damn look. Whoever is on her team right now is just her glam. And of course, Michelle Visage, who always is on point as well. So yeah, the judges were really good judges. They gave really fair, really good critiques. Performances were great. It's just a really entertaining, fun show. And I love drag queens. I love drag queen culture. For me, it's like I look at drag queens and I'm inspired because the way that they perform with such confidence and just charisma, and they just go out there and kill it. Like, they own the stage, and it's inspiring. You're like, I want to be confident like that. Like, I want to have that. You know, I love it so much. And it's just, they come into character, and it's just all so extra. And I love the extra. So it's just great show.
Yeah.
Very entertaining.
So Nadia would be like, is it back on yet? Is it back on? I was like, it's a weekly thing.
I know, we have to wait every week.
You have to wait.
It was a rough one. So, yeah. What else did we watch?
Well, we also...
we also had our 4-year anniversary.
Exactly.
In the midst of all of that.
Yeah.
In the midst of our pain and drag queen watching, we celebrated our 4-year anniversary, which is crazy to me because I'm like, 4 years? That's it?
Like, I can't stand this guy.
Not even. It's more just like, I can't believe it's only been 4 years in a very good way. Like, I feel like I've known you I actually have known you for a long time.
Right.
but it just feels like we've been together a lot long. Like 4 years doesn't sound that long to me when I hear 4 years. I'm like, no way. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy. It's I mean, it's to me, it's been like super quick. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I'm like, wow,
it's flown by.
Yeah, it's flown by. Like, I understand I guess it's just a different point of view, right?
It's both. I can see that too.
There's that feeling of like, wow, I feel like we've been together forever because of this and that, which maybe, I don't know, just it depends on how you look at it. But
No, I feel you. It is crazy too, because it feels like we just got together the other day and it's like, wow, 4 years already?
I know.
It's a conundrum.
It's crazy,
ways.
but we did decide that we were going to go out to eat. So this was like December 10th, right? So we go out and we went to this place called Meat in Paris, which is in like downtown Culver City.
Yeah.
And it was really good. It was a little French bistro type situation, where they specialize in mussels. So I'm like really big into shellfish, particularly clams and mussels. But what did we have it in? We had mussels in a lobster bisque.
Oh, yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah, so you can order the mussels in like all
Oh my
different
God.
types of sauces like you could pick, and we got the lobster bisque and it was bomb. It was really, really, really good.
Even even the bread they put out, to just be eating was so good. It was like such a delicious baguette with some nice butter. Oh my God.
Yeah, we ate everything. It was delicious. It was a good anniversary. What? And then you watched while you were in quarantine. What did you say? You watched a bunch of shit you don't even remember?
Man, okay, so let's go through the COVID tale very easily. I was feeling kind of weird because my throat was itchy when I was like vaping, and I was like, okay, something's not right. I'm gonna stop. And then the next day, I still felt weird, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, let's take a test. Took a test, and it basically said you were positive, so that I was positive. So immediately locked myself in the bedroom upstairs and started watching stuff that I knew Nadia wasn't going to give a damn about. You know? It's like, okay. And I watched a show called The Wheel of Time, which is on Amazon, which everybody is saying, oh, it's the new Game of Thrones and da da da, which it's not. It just
Which
isn't.
is not.
It's just not. But I was like, I'll give it a shot. And I finished it, but because those first early COVID days were so weird, like I was just sleeping. I didn't have aches, pains, chills, headaches. I didn't have any of that stuff. I barely had a fever, but I could not stay awake.
Yeah. Your body was fighting it.
I watched that, and I watched another show, which is also a high fantasy show called The Witcher, which is on Netflix. And again, finished that whole second season, couldn't tell you anything that it's about. But I'm sure it's going to be like that one Dave Chappelle thing we had talked about months back, where if you talk to me about it, I'll totally be like, oh yeah, I saw that. I know that it entered.
It's subconscious.
I know that it entered my brain, but I have no idea how to recollect it all. It was just like falling asleep through all that stuff. But actually, before we go, we did start some shows that have not ended yet that are really good. And I don't know if we had mentioned it, but we started Dexter New Blood.
So good.
Which is the long-awaited by I'm not sure who, but I'm glad it's out.
I didn't expect that to even come back.
Well, yeah, I don't know. People must have just been. It might have just been one of those passion, projects where there's people who are not happy with the way something ends, and they're like, okay, we'll get together and do something better for you or whatever. So the Dexter show is really good because it involves his son now, because he had a son in the first series, and it's really well done.
Yeah, it's really good.
And it's very self-contained in this small mountain town where Dexter's living a double life and trying not to be a serial killer, basically. But guess what, guys? Something happens and he has to kill somebody. But it's very good. And the other show was Yellow Jackets.
So good.
And Yellow Jackets is a Showtime show. Actually, they're both Showtime shows, now that I think about it. But if you guys haven't seen Yellow Jackets, we really, really recommend that.
Man, watch it, and we can talk further about it next week. One other show that is I wouldn't say anticipate. It's kind of like Dexter. It's like, wow, you guys are bringing this back. Is obviously Sex and the City. But it is not Sex and the City no longer. It is now called
No longer.
It is now called And Just Like That. So, obviously we're late to the game and talking about it. I watched it as soon as it came out. I was excited because I had all these predictions. You can ask any of my friends. You can ask Omar. I had all of these predictions based off of the first 2 episodes that are all coming true. And I wanted to share that, but we didn't get to it.
Right. Well, we didn't do a show.
We didn't do a show. So. But I'm going to tell you right now, I predicted that Charlotte was going to have to deal with her daughter and gender issues. I predicted that Miranda was going to be jumping ship over to Team Lesbian. I predicted... What else did I predict? I wrote them all down somewhere. What else?
You were... what else were you saying?
It was just like, we're going to see Carrie's new dating life, obviously, because we all know Big is gone. They're all just going through things that are more current. I think that they're doing a really good job, the best job that they can to diversify the cast, to just bring new storylines that are more relevant to the times now. And of course, there's this generational gap that's happening because the ladies are older. They're like in their 50s. So
still isn't that what they were in the first?
Stop.
All right, sorry.
I hate you. So there's a lot of people who didn't really like the fact that, for example, Miranda, I'll make this as quick as possible, but because I just want to say this.
No, I'm enthralled.
So Miranda, the redhead, the attorney, right? She's always been, for lack of a better word, pretty woke, right? She's always been kind of on the cutting edge and more progressive. And in this new show, And Just Like That, she has an interaction with her professor. She's going back to school. She's going back to college to, I think I want to say, do civil rights law or something like that. So that's all on brand with Miranda, right? She quits her job she's an attorney for corporate attorney or whatever. She quits all that, leaves that behind. She wants to make a difference. She has an interaction with her professor who is black and has braids. She makes a comment about her hair that is not received well, is very awkward. Everyone is looking at her and she's jumbling her words, and it's just only getting worse because she's realizing what she's saying and it's not coming across right. And everyone goes, I didn't like that because Miranda's not like that. Miranda's always been the progressive one, and now you're turning her into a Karen, right?
Right.
I didn't take it that way. I don't think Miranda's being a Karen. I think Karens are more actively ignorant, more actively racist, and aggressive about it. I think Miranda is a woman who, of her age, who is trying to figure out how to say things the right way, and because she's from a different era. So no matter how woke you think you are, there's still going to be ways that, like, even though that's not what she means, it's coming off wrong because of how she was raised and the generation she came from and what she was surrounded by. And so she doesn't want to be that person. She's actively trying not to be that person. So that's not a Karen to me. You know what I mean? Like, she's trying to be progressive. She's getting it all fucked up, but she's trying. And I think there is a progression that happens where the professor kind of sees that and she's like, oh, you're old school. You know what I mean? Like, I got you. I get where you're coming from. And they're starting to build this relationship where I think that she's going to kind of help her figure it out and how to not look like she's a Karen. You know what I mean? So that was my take on Miranda, which is great because that makes sense. That makes sense of how things would be for a woman her age in this climate. And she's going back to college with all these kids that are like teenagers, you know, they're like 19, 20, 21 years old who have a completely different perspective on life. And they're like looking at her like, you know, use the right pronouns, lady. Like, don't you know, kind of thing.
It was like 22 Jump Street. Or no, it was 21 Jump Street. I don't remember because they made 2 of those movies, right?
Yeah.
But it was the first one where Channing Tatum is like the jock, and now everybody hates him because he's not.
Exactly. Different times have changed. And also, I figured it was funny because there is another character, a new character, Che Diaz, who plays, I can't remember her real name in real life. She's non-binary, and she plays Carrie's like podcast co-host, right?
Right.
So she has some sort of altercation with Miranda at the funeral, Big's funeral, where Miranda chews her out for giving her son weed. And they have this altercation, and then afterwards she finds out she doesn't know it's Carrie, that she knows Carrie. Carrie introduces her to her, and it's very awkward, and they're kind of like, okay. So what I felt right off the bat was like, oh, they're going to turn Miranda's going to start questioning her sexuality because of 2 reasons. She's not happy with Steve anymore. Like, that shit's run. Mm-hmm. You know, it's shit. And it like Miranda in real life, she is a lesbian. She's in a lesbian relationship. So I was like, I bet you she's going to dabble and bring that into it. And sure enough, as we already know, because we're there, I'm already spitting out the obvious, but I'm like, I told you so. I was just proud of all my predictions. Remember, I was telling everyone at your Christmas party?
Yeah. We're at a corporate Christmas party, and Nadia is going around to everyone like, have you seen Sex and the City? Here's what's going to happen.
I was not going around to everyone. You were like, oh, these people like to watch Sex and the City. And I was like, okay, listen, want to hear my predictions?
Yeah, it literally, to be honest, that's how it happened. One of my coworkers had said that she was late to the party.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I just got here because I had to finish
Sex and the City.
The Sex and the City.
Well, and just like that.
I guess however many episodes were out, maybe just one at the time.
It was 2.
So I was like, oh, you want to talk to somebody? Yeah, talk to Nadia.
Yeah.
And Nadia just went
And then
off.
I spilled I was so drunk too. I spilled all my predictions on her.
Yeah. You were talking about Sarah Ramirez.
Yes, Sarah Ramirez.
Sarah Ramirez, who is now on the show and is, like you said, herself. See, this is the thing with pronouns, because Sarah Ramirez uses they, them.
Right. I think she also uses she, too. I think she said she, they, them.
No. Well,
I think.
Well, the point is that Nadia was all about this show, and we don't want to step on anyone's pronouns, so I hope we didn't ruin that. But anyway, acknowledge and move on is my new way of moving that.
Oh, one other prediction that it has not happened yet. At least I have one more episode to watch, so I don't know if it has happened yet. But Brady, which is Miranda Steve's son, they have him fucking his girlfriend like a wild rabbit all over, like every episode. They're like banging, right? Like it's like very prominent in each episode. She looks like she's like Latina or something, like Filipino or something like that. I think that her parents are going to have a problem with Miranda and Steve because they're just fucking about at their house. So I think that that's going to be another topic and another issue that they're going to have to deal with, because there's no way no Latin family, like that just doesn't happen. No, you're not screwing your boyfriend at my house. You leave that door open. Where like Miranda and Steve, they're just like, oh yeah, look at them. They're just always screwing. Like they're totally accepting of it, you know? And they're like,
I don't know.
It's a cultural difference.
Well, I'm not watching the show either way. So I hope it goes the way that you want it to go. So
come to me for your Sex in the City.
So if you have any Sex in the City, hit up Nadia.
Yes, I was very proud of that.
Well, it's about that time that we go ahead and wind this episode down, because it's been about an hour. I think that's about as much as you guys want to listen.
Don't worry, we have a lot more shit to talk about next.
We do. We'll be putting out another one ASAP. But just kind of wrap it up, we really want to thank everybody who listens and everybody who was sending us very supportive messages while we were dealing with everything that we already talked about. Thank you so much. Your support means a whole lot. As always, I am your host, Omar. You can find me on Instagram at OMRVLZ. You can find us at We Everywhere Baby Podcast. You can find Nadia at
Nadia Moham Official. And don't forget, guys, we still have those promo codes going. They are up and strong. We have Nadia Moham Official promo code for Wild Grain, and that is $10 off of your first box of Wild Grain, which is really yummy, delicious, organic, fresh made breads, pastas and pastries. Delicious, guys. You don't want to miss out on that. Definitely give it a try. And of course, we have Nug Club, which we've been subscribing to. It was a monthly or you could do every other month subscription box of all kinds of cannabis goodies. And that is promo code WeEverywhereBaby20 for $20 off your first box. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we are officially back in action. If there are any other shows you guys want us to check out and review, please let us know. Any restaurants you guys want us to check out and review, please let us know. Yeah, we are back in action.
Bye, everybody. We everywhere, baby.